Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I am your host. I am Clay Douglas, and I will be speaking tonight, at Brave New Books. That's down at the college on Guadalupe Street in Austin, Texas. I will be speaking there tonight. You will be able to buy my books here. You will be able to get them signed. And hopefully we'll be entertaining a lot of new people. We've been passing out about a few hundred flyers, so we ought to have a fairly good crowd there. And my guest today is Gordon Duff. And Gordon is basically responsible for a show that I did earlier this week talking about, what was that video that you just put out on, Gordon?
John Hankey had done that, and frankly, I got it from French intelligence. It had almost no hits on it. It was quite impressive. It was one of the best pieces of work I've seen done in years, and we had known a lot of stuff about Romney, but we didn't know all of it. You know, I knew he'd been tied to the Bush family. I knew he was in the drug business. We had been told that when he fled to France, when he left Stanford, this is one of the tough ones here. Official sources, that had leaked out that he left because it was a suicide attempt and he'd been in a mental hospital. I don't know if you look into his eyes at all, at any time, he looks like he's got rabies. But it wasn't, he's not a guy that would commit suicide. He fled the country because he was going to go to jail. Now, the only question here is whether or not the girl died.
Now, what was this? What girl is this? This is Romney you're talking about?
That's why he became a Mormon mission in a country that the Mormon Church was illegal in. There are no French Mormon missions. The Mormon Church wasn't recognized in France as a religion to 2009, and there were legal restrictions against. I'm making coffee, by the way, here.
That's all right.
With one of those horrible machines. There were legal restrictions against teaching Mormonism. So he went to France as an English teacher, which, of course, isn't covered by, first of all, the missionaries, it's a kind of a voluntary thing. Being a Mormon, which is an all-white thing, until 1975, the Mormon religion, Mormon schools were all white, so they had no draft recognition of any kind. Some Mormons had dodged the draft in Utah because they had local draft boards that they themselves ran, and there was a big controversy. But in Michigan, he was in the same draft board I was in, and it had no Mormon draft restriction at all. In fact, not only that, the head of the Mormon church was his father in Michigan. That was his dad, who was also, at the same time, the governor of the state of Michigan and the head of the Selective Service. Which I just is a mild coincidence. But the big issue with Romney, and heaven forbid, politicians are all mad dogs in their own ways, but he's totally insane.
Well, now I've got this film that you sent, Romney Exposed, and I've got that up at the top of my website and right below my flyer on my talk tonight at Brave New Books.
Well, here's what I've done yesterday. I will periodically, get in the car. Carol and I drove out to Archibald, Ohio. She teaches out there at a college, and it's backwoods Ohio. It's the whatever. Now there are no Romney voters in Toledo, but I will tell you that once you get out the out in the sticks, that there are nothing but Romney voters, and this kind of diversions from reality, where somebody that's advocating a war on Iran, someone that's a total slave to Israel, somebody who we have solid financial proof has been laundering drug money for a very long time, someone that's tied to organized crime, someone that would travel with Sheldon Adelson, who is, the Godfather. I mean, there's no secret about that Adelson's the Godfather. None of this is any secret at all. Someone that, well, in this case, someone who is anti-gun, heaven forbid. I'm a gun guy. The last thing in the world any of us expect, of course, is that a Republican candidate is going to favor gun control, and Ron is the biggest gun control fanatic. That's all he did when he was, and how he ended up in Massachusetts, we always wonder. But he was certainly against assault weapons, large magazine weapons, restrictions on guns, and we have had, I get the NRA sending out things talking about Democrats and gun control, and the frank truth is that the most gun legislation that has been withdrawn by President Obama. He is the biggest. I don't see him carrying guns, but since Obama's gotten in, we all can, and no effort's been made.
Well, let me just stop you for a minute, and I want to go back to this film that you sent. I put up on my website because it pretty much absolutely confirms everything I tried to tell people in Mystery Babylon, the New World Order Unveiled. I published the story of Operation Watchtower many, many years ago in my biker magazine, and that's the first time I got threatened by the CIA.
Okay, well, the problem is, one of the things I have is that you're sitting out there in the middle of nowhere. I have my own little history. I still work as a military contractor. That's my day job. I'm heading to, supposedly in the next few days I'm going to be gone for about a week of initial meetings, and then I'm setting up a program here with the governments of 5 countries with the United States, and I'm bringing the representatives of Russia with me, which will be interesting. But I'm meeting with the chiefs of state of 5 states to develop a regional counterterrorism program coordinated with the United States. I designed the sensor system and the digital battlefield management system, which is what
Oops, sorry there. Go ahead.
Yeah. I no longer take people on the mat and beat the stuffing out of them, not unless we take a lot of ibuprofen anymore. Used to like doing that. You and I are getting too old for that stuff.
Yeah. When you get to be our age, it's best just to shoot them, you know?
Yeah, because I'll tell you, the young guys make a fool out of me, but you know as much about any of this as anybody on earth. Nobody's looked into this as long as they have, and we have solid proof that since 1984 minimally, that Romney's been involved in a very basic way with the Bush family in the world's heroin trade, and has been one of the great financiers of world terrorism. And we've tied into a number of various, very serious acts. And now here's what I was told by the head of Serbian intelligence. Told me this a year ago, that the Bilderbergers, and I'm not a big fan of the Bilderbergers, finding Bain, had gotten together and had decided that they were going to run their own presidential candidate, and that they were going to rig the election. Now, in this case, the Republican nomination was clearly run by Ron Paul, and it had kind of a melee going on with Mike Harris about this yesterday, and some people, but there's a general agreement now.
Oops, we lost the, got dropped here. Hang on a minute. I must have lost Jordan on his end that time. Where's it this?
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, lost you. Signal faded or something.
Yeah, signal faded. I don't know. To me, I'd always like to think that we said something decided to blow us off the interform.
Well, obviously that would be talking about the candidate that the Mossad is sponsoring for president. Let me add to you folks, and Gordon Duff is my guest today. Gordon Duff will back up what I'm telling you here. Romney's whole campaign is run by the Mossad, the people at Bain Capital, that he has chosen to run Bain Capital, which is kind of a scam in itself. Bain Capital controls Clear Channel. They own Rush Limbaugh. They own Michael Savage. They own ABC, NBC, CBS. They are Clear Channel. They own every radio station here. And the same people own your newspapers and your television stations. And the news you get is not, it's propaganda, folks. It's all propaganda. Now, Gordon, I think we've got a worst case scenario that's almost as bad as our last election. Last election we could choose between Songbird McCain, who made propaganda films for the Viet Cong, or Barack Obama, who knows where the hell he was born. But he certainly wasn't born here, and he certainly hasn't done anything good. So we've got a choice between Zionist A and Zionist B. Zionist B prefers the Muslims. Obama prefers Muslims, and we don't have any choice here, do we? Are you there?
Well, it's not even no choice. I'm noticing the. I do horrible things, like sometimes open my email here. I've got one Gene Khrushchev, who former Russian ambassador to Afghanistan, and I traveled with Gene, and Gene's only 51 years old, runs 10 miles a day. He's a Russian general, and of course he's like my kid, but he's a nice kid, although one of the most dangerous nice kids on earth, but a really good person. We're going to have to get Gene on with you sometime here.
Yeah, I'd like that. I'd like to know why our troops are guarding the opium poppy fields in Afghanistan, and why we're still putting people in prison for where you get caught with heroin here, you're in prison.
He would scream about this.
I wrote novels about this over 45 years ago, Gordon.
The issue I have, Clay, of course, is there you are sitting in the middle of nowhere, and you're supposedly out of the biker community, and you're the best informed person on American intelligence of any radio host in the United States, any TV host. You're the best informed living journalist, and I'm wondering why you're still alive.
Well, it's not because they haven't tried. It's simply because I'm a little hard to kill. I mean, when you can be hit hard enough on a Harley to roll it over you 3 times and you smash your head against a curb and you don't wear a helmet, and they rush you to the hospital, and the medics say this guy will never make it. Nobody injured this badly could possibly live. And yet they got me to the hospital and said, this guy fought us all the way. He didn't want to get on a stretcher. He didn't want to get in the ambulance. And then they kept me drugged for 3 months, ran up a $750,000 hospital bill for 3 broken ribs. Oh, yeah, I had a bump on the head and a collarbone, too. Broken collarbone.
Well, what we've done here, we can't really vote. We have a lot of Americans who will vote for candidates that are absolutely horrific, and in this case, and first of all, I'll be the first one to admit that we don't have any voice in choosing candidates. I will also, I've worked as a political advisor to chiefs of state. I've known a couple of American presidents, as many as 40 chiefs of state. Frankly, there's 192 countries, and you can't help but meet people that run these countries, because everybody wants to buy weapons. I mean, that's it's an easy way to get to have lunch with somebody, all from a Russian helicopter, and that's the first thing Gene said. You go into Africa. Iran just bought a bunch of Mi-28 helicopters that make the Apache look like a child's toy. These things they're heavier, faster, twice the armor, 5 blades, far more stable. They're years in advance of the Apache. They cost less money, and the Russians are they're peddling those in the advanced version of the MiG-29, which the only thing we have to sell anymore is either the F-35, which is not being delivered, or upgrades to the F-16, and the MiG-29 can fly a circle around even the new better version of the F-16. We said our arms business. Americans have spent trillions. They've spent the future of our country, so much of it on phony wars, and all of these wars are phony, and not just Vietnam and everything since. World War II was phony, and it isn't just revisionist history. It's that as we have declassified World War II, everything that we get when we turn on the television, and these continual channels that, and we all have relatives that died in World War II. I'm one of the people that goes over to Europe. If you look at the official photographs of the American battlefield monuments, you'll see the copyright. I found all of them down. I will take 2,000 photos at the U.S. cemetery, Cambridge or Dernbach or whatever, places no one has ever been. We do this, and we do this as part of the job of veterans today, and we're the only people that bother to keep any real archive of what the war really was. The problem is it isn't just honor and parades and flags. It's accurate history about what really went on. And everything we are being told was the history, even of the Second World War. We know Pearl Harbor happened. We know Americans landed in Okinawa, Iwo Jima. We know the Marines went ashore in Tarawa. I've met a lot of these guys. I was at the meetings with the survivors of Bain Island. And these were my heroes. I was a combat instrument in Vietnam. I served there as a Marine, which was one of the stupidest experiences of my life, but I served with wonderful people, too many of which have died, like one of our former editors, Joe Eckers, double amputee, who died while on the telephone with me fixing a car at 20 years before he should have. Or guys like Larry Williamson from Columbus, Ohio, who's been dead for 44 years, who was one of my closest friends. And that list can just go on and on and on. Or people you didn't know that were blown apart standing next to you. I had a Navy corpsman hit by an RPG standing next to me. And I had to have it explained to me because I didn't remember any of it, because blast all I remember is waking up with what I was wearing of uniform. He disappeared, and I was covered with what had been, him turned into Campbell's soup. And this was somebody never got a medal, never anything. And was running, this is the Operation Defiance. And anyway, people will never hear about all of the sacrifice, all of the heroism, and yet we will never hear that this war was to destroy Germany. Not because Germany was evil, not the way people are saying. Germany wasn't perfect. Germany was far from perfect. And we're not going to have a discussion of the Holocaust today because there are too many discussions of the Holocaust. Way too many discussions, and it's not our job because it's been used as a way to suppress a lot of truth. Now, whether we had a lot of crazy Germans or not, let's say it's all true. What we did have is we had a country, Germany, that went to war 2 times against the world, World War I and World War II, that hundreds of thousands of Americans died. And Germany was fighting. The German people who died in World War I and World War II believed they were doing so for our freedom. And the actual war aims, when you read about them, is that, frankly, there are reasons that 1940, Hitler was the most popular person on earth, Times Man of the Year, supported by people like Charles Lindbergh. I was told that Lindbergh was a traitor. I was told that McCarthy was a traitor. He was, of course, I was raised a Democrat. McCarthy was evil. He had to be, he was murdered, of course. Senator Joseph McCarthy. But these people had told the truth. I was always told that communism was going to take care of all of us. Well, communism and socialism, all of those things, where it really comes from, it comes from the same roots where Mitt Romney comes from. It comes from the same place that Shelley Adelson and the Koch brothers come from.
This is let me stop you for just a moment, because this is one of the most frustrating things to me. I have read Alexander Solzhenitsyn, Gulag Archipelago.
One of my favorite authors, by the way. Yes.
I have read Ezra Pound, who instructed and taught and educated Eustace Mullins, who I also was privileged to be friends with. And all of these people, Ezra Pound, a world-class poet, was put in an insane asylum for years. He was finally gotten released through the efforts of Eustace Mullins and another poet. But I have been demonized for so many years by these Jewish organizations, ADL, Southern Poverty Law, and of course Homeland Security and the FBI, who put out Guide to Right-Wing Extremists. And we also mentioned not having much of a choice between Obama and Romney, Zionist A or Zionist B.
The worst thing is that if everything said about Obama was true, if we had a 1 to 10 scale of bad, Obama is 20% bad. Romney is, there isn't anything human about Romney. We're not, he's a rabid dog. He's utterly insane. The idea of what we've been able to find out and what you've been talking about Bain, their